They moved in silence, their faces unremarkable, their hands steady, their hearts devoted to death. The Thuggee were not just bandits or killers, they were executioners in service to a goddess, fanatics who believed that murder was their sacred duty. And for centuries they stalked the roads of India, weaving themselves into the lives of unsuspecting travellers before tightening a noose around their throats. For over 600 years, the Thuggee operated in the shadows, concealed beneath the mask of ordinary men. They travelled in groups, posing as merchants, labourers or pilgrims, blending seamlessly into the flow of life along India's bustling trade routes. Their method was horrifyingly effective. They would befriend travellers, earn their trust, and, when the time was right, strike. The signature weapon of the Thuggee was the rumal, a simple yellow scarf. But in their hands it was an instrument of perfect silent execution. A swift loop around the neck, a brutal yank, and the victim would crumple. Lifeless, their final breath stolen before a scream could escape. No mess, no blood, no witnesses. Some Thuggee operated in small, tightly knit bands, while others functioned as part of sprawling networks that stretched across the subcontinent. They had their own secret signals, gestures, and coded language to communicate without drawing suspicion. To an outsider, they were just another band of travelers, but within their ranks they followed an elaborate hierarchy, with experienced killers training the next generation in the precise, ritualized methods of execution. Their devotion to Kali, the Hindu goddess of death and destruction, fueled their killing spree. They believed that each murder was an offering, a ritualistic act to maintain cosmic balance. They would perform secret ceremonies before and after the killings, ensuring that the goddess was pleased. This was not random violence, it was religion. Thuggee initiates were trained from childhood, often recruited from families already involved in the cult. Boys grew up learning how to strangle efficiently, how to read the road for opportunities, how to bury bodies so they would never be found. Those who faltered in their faith were swiftly dealt with. Betrayal meant death. The scale of their slaughter is nearly unimaginable. Some estimates suggest that over the centuries they may have murdered as many as 2 million people. The British colonial authorities, upon learning of the widespread disappearances, refused to believe at first. How could such a vast network of killers have operated undetected for so long, and yet the evidence was irrefutable? Bodies buried in shallow graves, testimonies from captured Thuggee who confessed to atrocities beyond comprehension. Travellers would simply vanish, their belongings sold in distant markets, their names fading into the void. It wasn't just men who fell victim, women and children were also strangled, their bodies discarded as if they'd never existed. In 1830, the British finally declared war on the cult. Leading the charge was William Henry Sleeman, a British officer who dedicated his life to eradicating them. Through infiltration, mass arrests and brutal interrogations, he peeled back the layers of their organization. Spies were embedded within Thuggee bands, gathering intelligence on their movements and rituals. Entire villages complicit in their activities were razed to the ground. Hundreds were executed by hanging, others were sentenced to life in prison, and by the mid-19th century, the brotherhood that had haunted India's roads for generations was no more. But the horror of the Thuggee lingers. Their presence was woven into folklore, their methods studied by criminologists, their story distorted and mythologized. Were they truly exterminated? Or did some slip through the cracks, fading back into society, waiting for the right time to kill again? Even today, some believe that remnants of their cult persist in secret, carrying out their dark rituals in silence, their loyalty to Kali unbroken. For centuries they walked among the innocent. They smiled, they laughed, they shared meals with their victims, before wrapping a yellow scarf around their throats and offering them to the darkness. And perhaps somewhere in the world they still do.